What's up, and welcome back to Opposites Attract Podcast. This is Sonja Ramirez, your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How was your day?
How was your week?
How is your life?
Going. Yay.
I should make you redo that. You need to get this right.
Whatever.
Re-record, damn it.
We ain't re-recording shit.
I'm just going to fire you then.
You're getting...
Good
luck.
I know, right?
Good luck.
Dude, I'd take out my laptop and just start doing lives, just like I was.
Okay, so tell me what you're going to hire somebody for.
Nothing.
Tell me what you're going to hire somebody for.
Nothing.
What are they going to do? You wouldn't know what the hell to hire somebody for.
I wouldn't need all this equipment. I would just make it work because people don't care about the equipment.
You just go back
to talking on your phone. They just want to know what I got to say. What do you got to say,
What's
girl?
Up? This is Sonja. You sit there. Just fucking keep it simple.
That's right. KISS.
Yep.
Anyways, so I was watching the last podcast.
Yeah.
And I was listening to that clip that you made at the very beginning about minding your business.
Yeah.
And we were on two separate pages that day.
Yeah.
Did you recognize that after?
Well, that's why I cut the clip where I did.
Gotcha.
Because I noticed that when you started talking afterwards, it was related to something else.
Yes. So I think that we both need to explain, and this is funny because you can tell the difference in our personality. Miguel's like, mind your fucking business and stay out of mine. And I'm thinking, mind your business, like mental health.
That's what I was saying, like, stop worrying about what everybody else is doing and worry about what the hell you're doing.
Mind your business.
Yeah.
And I was talking about actually minding your business, health, mental health.
Yeah.
And I remember way back in the day when people would mention, or people wouldn't mention, that they were going to see a psychologist or a therapist or a counselor because it had such a negative, I don't know, vibe back in the day, right? Like, what? You're going to see a therapist? What's wrong with you?
Oh, Sonja needs some help.
You going
crazy
like
that's the thing.
Or what's up?
It's like, oh, she needs help.
Right.
It's like, we all need help.
No. And today, it's becoming a thing to do. People are now checking in with themselves. They're now...
It's going to turn into the opposite. It's like, oh, you don't see a therapist?
Right. It's becoming...
What are you, crazy? That's what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah. Known that it's important to be mindful.
Yeah.
To check in with yourself, especially with everything that's happening. Like these past 2 years have been just mind-blowing. There have been so many
ups and downs and
not
uncertainties.
And not only with our adults, our kids.
Yeah.
It is so important to check in with your kids and to see how they were doing mentally.
Yeah.
Because just with us, like sharing our experience, like our daughter is a happy, loving girl, but there has been some things going on within her that, we decided to, get some help.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
part of minding your business.
And you know what's so crazy is that I was talking to her counselor at school.
Yeah.
And she told me, she's like, you would not believe.
So our daughter went to her counselor to talk to her, right?
Yes.
Just about some of the things that she's thinking and just to have somebody to talk to.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Did you know that she was going to go talk to the counselor? Did she tell you?
No, she did not tell me, but I started talking to her about mental health.
Yeah.
I'm so in tune with her that I know when she is off. And what's so crazy is I know what's going on within her, but I knew that I had to take a step back because it's too close to home. You understand?
Yeah.
Like it's too close. And sometimes, there are things that maybe that they rather talk to someone else about.
Maybe that's why they say it takes a tribe.
Yes. And I didn't take it so personal.
Yeah.
I didn't take it personal. Yeah. I know that a lot of the things, like when the counselor called me to talk to me, a lot of the thing, I already knew everything. that was going on, within,
and that's
good. With
that's
Audrey.
A good sign.
And she's saying that a lot of times, and because Audrey is such a loving girl, she's very intuitive, that she tends to take on her friends' problems personally. So if her friends are going to her with situations that are happening at home or outside of a home, whatever it is, Adriana tends to hold on to that as well.
Yeah. There's something that I listened to in the book Untangled that has to do with that.
Yes.
And it's called externalization.
We talked about this. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when kids are going through something, they don't want to have those emotions themselves. They don't want to go through it.
Right.
So what they do is they pass it on to somebody else.
And a lot of times if you have that connection with your child, if the parent does, they like to unload on the parent. And she does.
So the example that they were giving was there was a girl, and I can't remember what class it was let's say it was science or whatever. And typically this girl gets straight A's all the time. Like she does really good in school. And then I think the father, one of the parents, she ended up getting a D on a test or something like that. Yep. And then when she got home, the dad or the mom saw it and they were like, wow, that's not like her.
Yeah. And
she just
blew it
off like whatever.
Yeah. Like it's no big deal.
But she's always been on top of her studies. And then the parents were kind of like, well, is there something wrong with her? Like what's going on? Because that's not like her. She doesn't usually act this way.
Right.
So they email.
Normally she's hard on herself about her grades.
They email the therapist. And I don't know I don't know if I can't remember if the therapist emailed them back or whatever, but pretty much what it was she didn't want to have those emotions. She had left the test on the table so her parents could see it.
Yes, and her dad's seen it.
And that's when he started worrying. And then when he went to talk to her, he started worrying more because she seemed like it was nothing. But she didn't want to have those feelings. So what she did was she dropped it off, and the parent was all worried about it. But in the background, she had already emailed the teacher.
Yes.
To find out what she could do about her grade. She was handling it. She just didn't feel like processing those emotions. So it was like a hot potato. She's like, here you go. You take it.
Yep.
And maybe that's what's happening with the friends.
Yes. And so, her and I, we have conversations. I'll go sit on her bed with her before bed, and she will just talk. And sometimes she just wants me in there so she could talk and release and let go. And I'm starting to recognize that I also have to release what she gives me. But I remember when she started doing it, it freaked me out because she would tell me something and then I would try to get her to explain what she had just said, but she was done.
Yeah.
Like she was done. And here I am freaked out. And then I come talk to you about it.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's okay. Like, it's okay.
She's going to be all right.
So I'm bringing this up though, because it's not just children go through this. I mean, us adults go through stressful situations and go through life with so much doubt or regret or just anxiety, depression, and we don't give ourselves time to check in with ourselves.
Yeah.
And if you have access to see a therapist or a psychologist or a counselor, there are so many benefits to it. And I did some research on it to look up what are the benefits of going to see, a psychologist. And a lot of times it talks about, there's 11, they say, reasons to give.
Where's this from?
A talk therapy from Alice Walton. She is a contributor from Healthcare. It's Forbes.
Okay, we can post this in the Facebook group. So if you guys aren't part of the Facebook group, there's something else. I have a couple articles that I'll share a little bit later in the podcast. But whenever you guys hear us posting about this kind of stuff, a lot of times we'll share it in the group so that people can see what we're talking about on the show. Yes. So if you guys aren't a part of the group, you guys can find us on Facebook. Just search Opposites Attract Podcast, and you'll find our page and the group.
And I won't go through all of them, but it's one that I recognize that I tend to talk about is our past, like past traumas.
Okay.
With how we were raised And it talks about how it affects how we parent. So when you are talking to a therapist or a psychologist, whatever it is, things will come to light that you thought that you have forgot about.
I think there's just certain things that you subconsciously don't realize. Like, I don't know, but sometimes it reminds me of like money. Like there's a certain feeling, because that shit is like, the feelings that we have towards money are like deeply rooted and embedded over like, I don't know if it's like generational, because the things that our parents go through get imprinted onto us, and then what's happening in society in our times get imprinted into us, because I know we've heard a lot before that, that's because they went through the depression. That's why they think that way. And that a lot of times that's not our parents, but our parents' parents.
Right.
Like our parents were raised this way because their parents went through the depression.
It's almost like a generational curse.
Yeah.
That.
I mean, you're just you're taught generation to generation, and it's all embedded into you, and it's hard.
Yes.
But when you have like sometimes something will happen with money, and you have like an automatic instinct, like that's bad or this or that, and it's the wrong emotion to have towards it, but it's just because that's the way we've been programmed for generations.
Yep. And like I was saying, like repressed emotions tend to come back and haunt you later if it's not released, if you don't go through the healing process. And a lot of times you don't know what you don't know. So when you're talking to your psychologist or your counselor and these things start to come up, that's when you have the opportunity to release and break that generational curse.
Yeah.
It's like with our children. And that's why, Miguel and I, when we are going through situations with our kids or trying to figure out why they're acting out in a certain way or why we are acting out in a certain way, we look for answers.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's when it is revealed, we can almost pinpoint it back to the way we were being raised.
Yep.
And so there are a lot of things that we had to undo.
Yep.
Right? A lot of things that we had to undo. And it's just not knowing any better.
Speaking of the I just mentioned the money thing. I just had a like literally maybe an hour and a half ago. Like you guys were, if you guys listen to the podcast, you guys know we've been making some moves, looking at different investment things to do. And I'm trying to get the crypto thing going, right? So I have to like transfer money, right? So you have to do like a test. And like I said, money is one of those things that a lot of people have very strong feelings about money, right? So I transfer this money, and there was something about the accounts or whatever. And at the end of once the transaction went through, I was like, fuck. Like, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if this is going to happen. But then I looked at it, like I was frustrated. But when I look at it, I look at the money and I'm like, well, we have money. And this was a test. There's no need to get upset. Like, what's the worst that could happen? I lose this money, but that's why it was a test, so whatever. If it happens, it happens. If not, I'll try to sort it out on Monday. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's the end of it. But for a lot of people that have those emotions attached to money, it's just like, now it's a fucking thing. And now it's frustrating you. And now it changes your attitude. And now it changes your emotions. And
so that's something that I have noticed with you. Like I'm very, when it comes to money, like I've always been good with money.
Yeah.
I've always, had good credit, except when I bought my first car because I had zero credit. But once I learned about credit, I always have had good credit. But I have not had such a tight hold when it comes to money. Like I always make sure that everything's done. But if I have extra money, even when I was younger, I would go splurge. I'd be like, I have it. I got it. So why not? And with you, I noticed that, and it's not a bad thing, but you're more conservative when it comes to money. And so there are certain things that if you don't recognize, I don't know, your triggers or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Your when it comes to money, it can cost you money.
Yeah.
And that is something that you have recognized without me really having to say much, right? Like, because we have a business, we're looking to take our business to the next level. Well, what is it that we need to do? We need to invest in a coach. And you were like, okay, let's do it, but let's do the research. Let's do everything, that we need to do to make sure that we're making the right decision. But before, again, like, it's something that we recognize beforehand.
Yeah. It's called mitigating risk. I don't mind spending money.
He's using his work knowledge.
My work terminology.
Your work
That's all it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a problem with spending money on things. I am, like, you can say cheap or frugal or whatever you want to call it. I don't like wasting money.
Yes.
And I don't have a problem with hiring a coach. Mm-hmm. If the coach cost us $4,000, mm-hmm. I need this thing to make me $4,001. That's, I mean, and I know that something can happen and we could get taken or whatever, but there's like, it's not like some guy's walking down the sidewalk and he's like, hey, I'm a coach. You want to sign up? 2,000. No, it's not happening. Yeah. You can do some research and you can figure out ways, get some references so that you're just not dropping your money. Like it's a car. Mm-hmm. A car and a house is the same shit. We talked about it when we were buying this house. Our realtor told us most people will fall in love with the house. They get shown 3 or 4 houses, fall in love with one, sign the paperwork, and it's over.
That wasn't us.
You go to the dealership, you smell the new car, you feel the leather.
You're locked.
You drive it around the block, and it's over.
Right.
That's not the way I roll.
Right.
Yeah, I was literally thinking about, I don't know what I was walking into a store, but every once in a while you have these thoughts like, what if everything goes to shit? And I'm like, well, if I had to buy another car, I have no problem. $1,500.
So,
yeah.
So minding your business, there's so many areas in your life that you have to mind your business, right?
Yep.
Marriage with me, I had some insecurities, lack of confidence, because I had some daddy issues that came up when I was 40. How old was 40? Both you and I both had daddy issues. Both of us had, just things that had to be revealed to us. And what's so amazing, God's so good that we both recognized where some patterns,
our triggers,
that we had that needed time in order for us to heal from it, in order for us to move through so that we can have a good marriage.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it all has to do with minding your business, spending time with you and just being aware of your feelings, your emotions and your thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? Like right now thinking about you talking about minding your business, and I'm thinking like, why don't more people mind their business?
Because they just are not aware.
I think a lot of
that
times
it's a thing.
I think, well, that might be it too. But I think a lot of times when you mind your business, you got to look at your shit.
Yes.
You got to look at your
that's
shit.
So hard. It is.
And if you're on social media minding everybody else's business, guess what you don't have to do? You don't have to look at your stuff and see how fucked up you are. But when you start minding your business, you're like, ooh, I thought they were fucked up. Turns out I might need some work.
Right. And 2, it's like if you have someone that loves you and that you trust, someone that knows you like the back of, your hand, like they really know you and they have all good intentions for you, I would ask them.
Yeah.
What are some things that you see about me that may need some corrections or may need,
yeah,
and need to be adjusted or whatever it may be.
Yeah. And the way you take that information determines the path you're going to be on. Because if you take that information as, well, you also this and that, and I don't see how. And if it's just accept what it is, maybe there's some truth to some of it. Maybe there's not some truth to all of it. You got to look at it and decide, but don't bullshit yourself, because we all know deep down inside, you can try and pass off to somebody else like, well, they and this and that. But when somebody says something, if it hurts your feelings, a lot of times there's a reason why it hurts your feelings.
Right. Right. And there's so many relationships that are destroyed because no one wants to have that hard conversation with them.
Yeah.
And you take it, though. Like, if you're the other party.
But you can change it. Even if it's not good, you can change it.
And you just take it and you accept it and you let it go, but you never bring it to the other person's. Like, you never bring it to their to the forefront.
Yeah. This is the thing. I don't think, like, nobody would, like, we weren't always this way. Like, we were talking about a different situation, but all we are as people is an accumulation of things that we've gone through, of different experiences, things that have happened to us, decisions that we've made that put us in different positions. That's all we are. It's an accumulation of all of that, right? And you can change at any moment, because that's what we did to get to this point. But you can do things differently to get to a different point. So even if the things that you hear, like you said, when you're talking to somebody and they're sharing some things that you necessarily don't want or don't like to hear, that's okay. Because all the things that you've done got you to where you are today. If you start changing some things, you can change that. And then, I don't know, months, couple years down the road, you're somewhere else. And that's not you anymore. But it's okay.
And it all starts with minding your thoughts.
Yep. I don't know how I'm going to title this video now, because we did the freaking minding your business last week.
Yeah, well, it was totally different.
I know, it was different.
It was different. Kidding. And when I watched it, I'm like, I didn't get my point across.
No,
because you came in with something else, and I'm like, and I didn't want to change it back. And
I got you, man.
And that's why, and this is something that's so important that can help people, that can really, truly help people. And it doesn't matter what your age is. And once you start to learn to mind your business, check in with yourself, and you start to recognize your thought patterns, because I've said this over and over again, your thoughts is what creates your emotions, and your emotions is what creates your actions. And so once you start to recognize this, and once you start to learn how to make some changes, you can start to recognize when your children are going through some things, and you can start making the change now before it affects your children.
Have you guys
and
ever
your children's children?
Yeah. So the example that I was giving earlier, right? I put this money in. I think that I might have lost the money. I get frustrated. And then Joey comes in, or one of the kids comes in with their friend, and they ask a question. And the thought that I had was that I lost my money. The emotion that I had was anger and frustration. Then the kids walk in.
Perfect.
Hey, Dad, can I, hey, can't you see I'm doing something?
Yes.
When you see and now it's a problem. Now I pass that on to the kids.
There you go.
You know,
now Joey goes and kicks the dog. No.
And then he kicks the dog. Can't kick puppies. But instead of, hey, I realize this is something that I've been programmed with. It sucks. I might have lost the money. Can't do anything about it. We'll figure it out. And at the end of the day, it's really not that big of a deal. Then Joey walks in with his friends, and then you just treat them appropriately. It's not a big deal.
So you
but I'm
your
sure,
emotions.
yeah, it's checking the emotions.
That's
it's
so
slowing
good.
down.
I am so proud of you, Big Daddy. No.
But it hasn't always been that way.
No, and it doesn't always happen that way,
and
right?
Yes.
We slip up.
Exactly.
And when we slip up, and if it's
That's
the
good.
kids, we apologize.
Yep.
And if it's each other, we know we need to apologize.
I've apologized to the kids a bunch of times. a bunch, both of them.
Yes.
Just like, I mean, and sometimes it's like right after something happens. And,
Yes.
I've had Joey I remember one time Joey told me, and it made me feel like shit, but it helped me out. I was like, he said something to me and he said, Dad, I thought you said you weren't going to yell at me anymore.
Aww.
And it fucking broke my heart. Because I don't want to hurt him.
Yes.
I don't want to yell at him.
No.
And it's just me because I'm fucked up. So, and it's frustrating. It's still like that's the issue. And it was frustrating. But in that moment, I thought about it and I'm like, I was like, you're right.
Take notes. Like, this is some serious shit right
And
here.
right then I was like, I'm sorry, Joe. I'm sorry. Yep. And I told him, and I didn't bullshit Joey either. Because I told him, I was like, I'm sorry. I told you I'm going to work on it. I was like, it's not easy, man. Like, I just told him, I was like, it's not easy. I was like, and I'm working on it. And I'm going to keep working on it. I was like, you're going to work on it too. I was like, you keep helping me.
Right. That's exactly what I was going to get into. Exactly what you just said. Our children are here to teach us just as much as we are here to teach them.
Use your kids. Use them.
No, God knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
You know, with the kids that he places into your life. And that's why they are different. They're different. Audrey is so different than Joey.
Yeah, they teach us different things.
And Joe and Audrey, and I told her, we were at church and I told her, I said, I need you to know this.
Yeah.
As much as I'm there for you, you are here for me. I know that God put you into my life to ground me, to show me some things, and to help me become better. Yep. There's a reason why you are my daughter and I am your mother.
Yep.
And I had that same conversation with Joey. Because it's funny because, even though our kids are not mini-me's, they're not. You don't want to keep telling them that because you don't want them to feel that they have to live up to your expectations because they are different.
Yeah.
And they have different needs. They have different wants, and the way you raise them or the way you think to motivate them may not work because they are their own little beings.
Yeah. Yep.
And just because you have a vision of who they are supposed to be, that has nothing to do with who they are going to be.
And who they want to be.
That's right.
And they have the right to be who they want to be.
Yes. And I was talking to you about this the other day. Just because you wanted to play piano as a child and you didn't have the opportunity doesn't mean it's okay for you to force Audrey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And those are things that we tend to do as parents. It's like, I didn't get to live this life. Therefore, I want to live it through you.
Yeah.
And that is a downhill.
Yeah. That's not good.
Not at all. Because you don't allow them to blossom, to be the person that God created them to be. Because you're so busy trying to make them be you.
Yeah.
And live out your dreams and your expectations. And
that never works out. I don't know. Like, it doesn't work out unless they want to do it.
Mm-hmm. It's like our job as parents are to keep them safe, right?
Yeah.
To guide them, to mentor them, to teach them. But that's it.
Yeah. And it's not to keep them from making mistakes.
No.
It's from keeping them from making certain mistakes, but there's a lot of mistakes that you want them to make because that's how they're going to learn.
Exactly. And if you continue to protect them, they're going to have some major struggles.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like, make as many mistakes as you can while you're with me.
That's a guaranteed way to screw up kids is give them everything that you didn't have.
Right.
And make sure that you have them avoid all the mistakes. Help them with everything so that they avoid all the mistakes and they never fail. They will be jacked.
And someone told me, well, then why don't you have Adriana on social media? She is not mentally developed yet to be able to take on the things that we go through. I mean, think about you as an adult, okay? You that are watching this. Think about how you feel after being on social media for half an hour.
I can guarantee you, because for me, it's YouTube because I like watching things and that's just how I learn stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it is learning things, you realize that there is an issue. Because when you're supposed to do something, and if your heroin or whatever is Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
then you know what? I need to go and pay this bill. And then you're like, what the fuck am I doing on Facebook?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yes.
it's like, you know what? I need to open the internet because I'm going to look this up. How the fuck did I end up on YouTube?
Right.
And then this is like the third video that I'm watching now.
Right.
Or
and,
this is I've been
and
scrolling for 10 minutes.
40, and she is 12 and our son is 10.
The hell out of here. Like, you know
what I'm saying?
It's not happening. You're not giving it to them.
And their little brains,
Nope.
they're going through puberty for one, or
Yep.
Joey's about to. Their brain is developing at a rate that you can't even understand.
Yep.
And now you just gave them access to every social media platform. Like, no wonder our kids are going through so much. I mean,
Yeah.
our daughter doesn't even have social media, and she's going through, some things right now.
I can't imagine if it was amplified by social media, because that'll do it. It'll amplify it and make things even worse. But like you were saying, like you can't. Yeah, and you were saying, how come you don't have her on social media? That's like we said, some mistakes we can allow them to make.
Right.
Social media is not one of them. That is not a mistake that we can afford to make. And a lot of people have made it, and it's hard to rein that back in once you've started. So,
Right.
but yeah.
Right.
Before we move on, there was something else that I read. You had mentioned it earlier about the kids when they get home or like at school. Like, there's so much that they deal with when they go to school.
Yes.
And when they come back upset, and then they pass on their emotions to us, but sometimes they just need time to chill.
Yes.
Because just like we go to work and you have the coworkers that are a fucking pain in the ass to deal with. Like, there are those people. I've been pretty fortunate. I work with some pretty awesome people, but every once in a while you run across that coworker. It's like,
yes.
Fuck. I just do not. I don't even want to hear a word come out of their mouth. They're just fucking annoying. They talk, it's just, and they may have a bunch of people that are like that at school. You may have a boss that you don't like. She may have a couple of teachers that she doesn't like.
Right.
And it may be justified because there's people that suck everywhere. It could be a teacher, and maybe, hopefully they have all great teachers.
Yeah. Or it could be a peer. It could be someone.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
and there's no escape.
They could have assignments that are due, just like we have work projects that are due that we're stressing out about. And then as soon as they get home, then now it's the parents' time to get on them about shit.
Now it's school. Now it's chores. Now it's.
Sometimes they just need an opportunity to decompress. And if they start talking to us, something that we could do is, I think sometimes they just want somebody to listen and to talk, or somebody just to listen to what they have going on so that they can just get it out and let it go. Sometimes they want help, or they want somebody to give them options or a solution of things that they may be able to do to help with that situation. So one thing that we can do is, when they're talking to us about certain things, you could just mention like, hey, I have an idea of something that might be able to help you out with what you're going through, but I'm not sure if that's what you wanted. I mean, I can share it with you if you want, but I can also, if you want me to just listen to what you have going on, that's okay too.
Yep. That's perfect.
But that way it's not like when they're not asking for help and you're just involuntarily giving it to them.
Right. Sometimes they just need
somebody to listen so that
listen.
they can decompress.
And listen, everything we're saying goes for adults as well. Because sometimes I just need you to shut the hell up. No.
Yep.
And listen, Linda.
Yep.
So it's like all of this that we're learning. You can use it with family, friends. Like, it works for everybody, and it starts in the home.
Yep.
Teaching, the kids watch how we communicate. The kids watch how we treat each other, how we love each other, how we're there for each other, how we are a team. If there's something I don't have time to finish, and I have you at home, and you picking up the ball when I need you to, when I'm out and about. And it's like, it is a team. This is a team. Yeah. It all starts in the home. And when it comes to communication, if your kids see it, they hear it, they're witnessing it, they're going to be more than likely when something is coming up, they're going to talk to you about it when they are ready. And that was another lesson that I learned with you, for one, right?
Yeah.
Because here's going to be a marriage tip and a parenting tip. Because there were times where I'm an emotional creature and I do not like going to bed mad. I don't like to be mad. I am this happy individual most of the time. But when Miguel and I would have a disagreement, he needed time to woosah. He needed time to let go. And I, at the beginning, would not give me that time. I
just noticed something.
What?
Our personalities.
Uh-huh.
I always want to like think about shit. Right?
Yeah, yes.
So when we get frustrated,
uh-huh.
It's kind of like when we do a presentation. If we had to do a presentation right now, you'd be like, let's do it. I'll fucking jump on the, what is it about?
Yes.
Oh, it's about
Let's
this?
Go.
Let's fucking do this. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to need about 45 minutes.
I need a PowerPoint presentation.
Let me see what topics we're going to be talking about first. Right?
Yes.
So when we get mad at each other, I'm like, look, just fucking leave me alone. I got some shit to think about. You know what I mean?
I need to see whether I was right or wrong.
And you're like, we need to get to the fucking bottom of this.
right now. But when I would come to Miguel, and I just wasn't aware back then. I wasn't aware.
Yeah.
And so it's like I'm poking at him. And all of a sudden he's like, roar. And I'm like, what the right?
Yeah.
And we had to learn this together. We had to, read some things. We needed to look into some things. We needed to do some research, because if your marriage is worth it, if the love is worth it, then you're going to work at it.
Yeah. That's funny.
And once we started to read up on some things and pay closer attention to each other, and we started communicating from love and respect, right? And not from anger.
Yep.
That's when things started to unfold. And that's when I started to give you the respect that you and the time that you needed. And then once you got your PowerPoint presentation ready,
I'm like,
to bring it to me.
I'm like, slide one. This is where you fucked up.
And it's like, it was amazing, once we realized the differences that we're just different people.
Yeah.
And we had to learn how to communicate to where the other person wouldn't shut down.
Yeah.
But it took a lot of shit
did take a while
for us to figure that out.
One thing that you mentioned a minute ago, you said something about something that we had learned. And that's the thing, is it's all learning. None of this shit was magic.
No.
It was reading and watching and listening and talking, communicating back and forth.
Yep.
None of this shit is magic.
Nope.
I've had a lot of
effort. I had a lot of hard conversations with God,
And I mean, one way that we've done it was by listening and reading a bunch of stuff, and it's all out there. And if you guys would like to pick up Untangled or 5 Love Languages, which are books that have helped us out a lot, Raising Lions by Joe Newman.
Yes.
That's another one that's awesome that we mention all the time. If you guys would like to pick those up, you guys can go to our website and you guys can pick them up through Amazon. If you use our link on our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com, if you click on the Support the Show tab, it'll take you to our Amazon link. And anything that you purchase through that link helps out the show. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but we get a kickback every time you guys purchase something through there. And if you're going to do any holiday shopping,
yes,
you guys do it through there and it'll help us out. Also, when you're on our website, you can see our social media links. You can watch the podcast there. You can follow it there. You can listen to it there. You can send us a message there. You can also find our merch on Amazon if you search Opposites Attract Podcast. And when you go to the Support the Show link on our website, it'll also take you to our Trust Inc. link. And that is?
And we are a nationwide mobile notary agency and signing agency. So if you are in the process of purchasing, refinancing, or selling your home, you can request Trust Inc. to be your signing agency.
And you can go to Trust Inc. directly by going to trustinkusa.com. We're also affiliates with Pinwheel, which is a smartphone for kids. The best smartphone available for kids. All the apps are monitored and picked. It doesn't have like the Google Play Store or the iTunes Store. You can't just download whatever apps you want and put them on the phone. There's a store created by the Pinwheel company, and all the apps that are picked for the phones are apps that are productive, that help the child out. Things like translators, music apps, things for chores to help with money, budgeting, all kinds of stuff. It makes it a tool for the phone, for the kids, so that they can be more productive. And it's safe. You can see all the text messages, call logs. They don't have access to the internet, the regular internet where all the bad stuff is, social media. So it's great. If you guys would like to check it out, go to pinwheel.com, use promo code OAP10, OAP10, all spelled out, all in caps, and that'll give you 10% off of a Pinwheel phone.
Yes. And if you would like to buy us a coffee, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/oppositepod. Yes. And you guys can buy us a coffee there. Like Bill Soroka, who bought us our first coffees from Side Hustle Lounge and notarycoach.com. And he's got an awesome podcast. But if you guys would like to buy us a coffee, if you guys would like to support the show, go to buymeacoffee.com/oppositepod. Yes.
Yep.
So is there anything else you wanted to share with that regarding the marriage tip?
No, I think we're good. We're just wrapping up Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was a couple of days ago. We hope you guys had an awesome Thanksgiving. How was your Thanksgiving, babe? What'd you think?
It was good. I ate again, and then ate again.
Yeah.
So this was cool. So the day the kids got off of school, Joey and his best friend came to me, and Joey gave me a letter. Well, actually, Evan was downstairs, but Joey gave me the letter, and I thought it was from Joey, a Thanksgiving letter from Joey. And I started reading it, and it was from Evan.
From
and
his
it
best
was
friend.
So cute. He was just telling me how he's thankful that we allow him to come over every day and play with Joey, and just, how it was. I was so unexpected. And then later on that day, he sent me a text asking if Joey could go over. And then I told him, hey, thank you again for the letter. And he's like, that's okay. He's like, you deserved it.
That's so cool.
I was like, aw.
You know what? Just yesterday, they were doing something, but Joey's best friend, like, he is over so much. Like, he's here all the time. Whenever we're not at jiu-jitsu, like, we joke around with his parents.
Yeah.
Like,
his mom was with us last night.
It's like he's our kid, Joey's their kid. Like, they're always just hanging out together. But the other day, they were doing something. They were digging something up, like they're supposed to. And the kids were all playing across the street at the park. And Joey's friend comes over and knocks on the door. And he's wearing Joey's pajamas because they all slept over. And he's like, can I have a little shovel so that we can dig something? And I'm like, like a little hand trowel thing. I'm like, yeah, sure. Come on, let's go. So we go to the back, and we go and we grab it, and I give it to him. And I'm like, all right, buddy, you go have fun. But for a split second, I thought that I was like talking to Joey, because Joey wasn't here.
Yeah. He's
wearing his pajamas.
Right.
And he's here all the time. Like, I was like, this is one of my kids. Like, here you go, buddy.
Yeah.
And when he was walking out, like, I thought in my second, like, just to say, love you, dude, or something, like, because I say that to Joey all the time. Whenever hey, I love you, man. Love you, dude. Whatever.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, that's not Joey. I was like, that's Evan,
Yeah.
But
aw,
they are like our kids.
Yeah. He probably, if you would have said it, he probably would have looked at him and been like,
what? Yeah.
But he's an emotional little boy too. Like, he's very, he's very sweet, and he doesn't hide it.
No.
He doesn't hide his emotions,
No, he
not
doesn't.
at all. If he's feeling a certain way, he's going to let you know.
Yep.
He's very in tune for his age.
Yeah. No, and you never know what he's gonna say. Like if you guys have been listening to the podcast, he says some stuff sometimes.
That's hilarious.
Cool. So Thanksgiving was fun though. For the first time in years, I played football. I mean, it's been like 5 years, and I'm always down to play football. I mean, I used to keep cleats in my car just in case a game would break out somewhere. I could throw them on and go play. But
speaking of cleats,
no, it was fun. Yeah, I got a flat tire during the game where my cleats fell apart. That's what happens when you buy shit at Ross. We've talked about that shit before, and we never brought it up on the podcast. I told you there is always something up with the shit that's at Ross. Like you don't know that. There was one time I had fucking seams. Like usually your seams go down the sides of your shirt. I had one that was like sideways going towards my belly button. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with this shirt? This thing's all jacked up. But the whole bottom of my shoe, I
thought you were running hard and playing hard.
That's what I said.
That's not what happened. Like, that's not what happened, huh?
I was cutting so hard, I left my fucking cleats in the grass. You know, that's what happened. No, but yeah, the whole freaking bottom of my cleats came off, like the spikes, the pad, like all of it just fucking came out.
He came home banged up. I'm like, damn, babe, what's up?
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, you're always looking to play. We got to make sure that we...
And then we, like you said, we went and hung out with family, and it was a good time. It was fun.
It was a good time. My Aunt Gloria put up some videos or pictures and videos of our family, and I've always wondered, where are all the pictures? You know, like because my mom and dad were married for 17 years, and I was, I don't know, 8 or 9 when they had split up, and I'm like, why have I not saw any family photos?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'm on Facebook, and my aunt's sharing all these pictures, and she has one specifically that I want a copy of, and it's of my little brother, me, and both my older sisters, and that's the first picture I have ever seen with all of us together.
Yeah.
You know, and so I was sharing those.
That was
photos
cool. That's a cool picture.
Yes, yes. I'm like, I need to go visit her and take a look at these photos. And it's so great. Like these days, all our photos are in our phone. Like when was the last time we actually printed out photos?
Yeah.
And I love looking through photo albums. Absolutely enjoy it. You know, we have a few when the kids were younger, but I don't have
it's just everything's on the computer now.
Ugh.
Yeah.
And if the computers go down, what happens?
Then you're screwed.
All your memories have been wiped. Ooh, that's scary.
It is.
When you think about that.
That's why you got to back it up.
We do that. We back up our photos, so we should be all right.
Yeah, hopefully you guys are figuring out your digital backup
plan,
life, whatever. Anyway, no, it would suck to lose all that stuff.
Yeah.
But last week we had mentioned we were talking about, or I had talked about eating together as a family, right?
Oh yes.
And we've talked about it a lot of times on this podcast, and the importance of eating together as a family.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just something that we've kind of noticed an impact, or it's just like a routine that we've developed.
Yes.
And we noticed that it's nice to be able to sit down a few times a week, or a handful of times a week, and sit down with the kids and have dinner. Even this morning, like the kids, you made something for the kids for breakfast, and we had ate a bunch of crap last night, leftovers from Thanksgiving and other stuff. So we weren't really too hungry in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So you made breakfast for the kids, but both of us just sat down at the table and hung out with them.
Yes.
You know, and talked to them while they were eating.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll do that for dinner. If we're not having dinner, we'll still sit with the kids, or we all sit down and have dinner together.
Mm-hmm.
And we've noticed nothing. I mean, there's nothing negative about it. Yeah, it takes some time. And we're cooking at home, but I haven't seen any negative impact in this. But I wanted to find out what it's hard to figure out, like what the actual benefit is, right? So I looked up some stuff, like I had mentioned, and there's an article from parenting.com that I'll put up in the Facebook group. So make sure you guys join that. And there's a project that Harvard started. But this is something that was written by them, by this Harvard program. And it says, over the past 20 years, research has shown what parents have known for a long time. Sharing a family meal is good for the spirit, brain, and health of all family members. Recent studies link regular family meals with the kinds of behaviors that parents want for their children. Higher grade point averages, resilience, and self-esteem. Additionally, family meals are linked to lower rates of substance abuse, teen pregnancy, eating disorders, and depression. We see family dinner as prime time to nourish ethical thinking, and families are responding to this. So that's straight from the, from that Harvard program.
Right. Yes.
And that's something that I think has helped us out a lot. There in the parents.com article that I'll post, it has 7 benefits. And the first one, it says it teaches your kids better eating habits. I mean, if you think about it, if we're all sitting down eating together as parents, a lot of time, like, you don't want to see your kids eating nothing but junk. So we will say something. Like, we get to cook the meal. So a lot of times the meal is healthier than if they just grab something themselves.
Right.
If we've been eating like we've had situations just recently where we'll literally sit at the dinner table and talk about how we've been eating. We've been eating like shit. We need to get back on track. But these are health talks that we have with the kids at the dinner table. We talk about money on the dinner table. We talk about all kinds of stuff.
We talk about relationships. I mean, a lot of people that have been listening to us or watching us we probably shared a lot of stories that happened at the dinner table.
Exactly. A lot of times you guys can hear the beginning of the story is we were sitting at the table and.
Yes.
Yep. Yes. Exactly. Number 2, it says it can prevent serious psychological issues, kind of like what I had mentioned before from the Harvard project, where, substance abuse, depression, like, you'll pick up on those things when you guys are all sitting at the table. Yes. When your kid's mopey, you'll see it. Like, hey, what's up? You want to talk about it? Maybe we can talk about it after dinner or something, Yep. Number 3, it can curtail weight struggle issues in adulthood. Weight struggles in adulthood. Yeah. Because, I mean, you're learning about your weight like we had talked about.
Right.
It can improve children's self-esteem.
Hey, I didn't read all my 7.
It improves communication skills. It can help kids bounce back from cyberbullying. And number 7, it can be used to supplement family therapy. So not to replace family therapy, but in conjunction with family therapy. So, and there's a lot more. That was just the points from this article, but I'll post that in our Facebook group so you guys can read through it.
That's good stuff. Very good stuff. You just got to make it happen. It's funny because we talk about like the shit that we do for the kids. Like, are you kidding me? My parents would never do this. Like, never. Like the things that we go and do. And what's so crazy is, though, I think it's just the associations or where we live, because I believe there are
not
parents
being aware. Not being aware.
That did the things that we did, back in the day.
There were.
It was just a different upbringing.
Well, it's just like today. Not everybody's focused on the same things. Some people have kids and they're focused on everything else but that.
And that, I guess, for the New Year's, it's like, I know, but I did not know for a very long time what my priorities are.
Yeah.
I did not know. I had them all mixed up. They were all jacked up.
Here's a quick thing that we haven't talked about in a long time. But if you're...
Is it about the topic I'm talking about?
If you are really focused on parenting, one of the most important things that you need to like put emphasis on is your partner and your marriage or your relationship.
That's right.
And that, if you're in a relationship, if you're married, that's huge. And also, I mean, if you're not, like, it's not the same type of relationship, but if you can,
a lot of times in women, what I hear is their priority is their kids.
Yep.
And if that continues, you are going to have a hard wake up call, because one day they're going to leave.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they're going to leave, they're going to get married, whatever it may be, go to college, and you are going to be left with your significant other.
Well, even thinking about it.
That nothing of.
Yeah.
and you're going to feel like total strangers. And if you look up the percentage, maybe you could do that right now while I'm talking. No. But look up the percentage of the divorce rate. Once you become an empty nester, when your focus was on the kids more than your significant other. And I hear this all the time when I sit down with clients of their struggle and how they fought to keep their marriage intact. Like they had to get to know their significant other all over again.
Wow, 30%. I mean, that's just the first thing that I looked up. But it says after the kids move out, the divorce rate is 30% of 25 plus year marriages.
And if you look at the reasons.
And I could see that, because.
Totally.
Because when I think about our relationship with our kids, they don't come first. Like we are first. They are very high. They are very high on the priority. Yeah.
But that's something you had to learn, my love.
Yeah.
Because the kids were your priority at one point.
Yeah. They were.
And the that book, The Love Language, I think is what helped you and me talking to you.
Yeah.
And we brought it to light. And that's probably a whole new episode because I don't even think we have enough time to share our story, to share that struggle, how it came to light and how it made me feel as a mother when I realized who your priority was.
Yeah. That makes me think, it reminds me of different but kind of related when people talk about synergy. Like if one person works on something by themselves, they can only get so much done. Mm-hmm. But if two people talk about it and work on it together, or two people working individually can only get so much done. But when those two people come together, they can do more together than they could separately by themselves. And if your focus is parenting and loving the kids and this and that, like I'm 100% invested into these kids. But if I was to redirect or I make sure that I take care of you, together we can take care of the kids better.
Right. And we need to talk about this. You should write this down on our notes for our next episode. Because do we have time right now?
We got a few minutes. Go ahead.
Oh God, we don't have enough time then.
We got some time.
But, talking about how we recognize, how I recognize, and then we recognize where all this was coming from. And it all stemmed back from our childhood.
Yep. Yeah.
Right? Because all you wanted was a family. You wanted to be with your dad. You wanted to be together. And so you were going into this relationship. And then once we started having children with that,
it was like the kids, this is what I was trying to give them what I didn't have.
Exactly.
So I was like, I'm going to be here and I'm all about it.
But in the meanwhile,
I wasn't focused as much on our relationship as I was with the kids. And then you just learn. You
don't just learn. You go through some shit. You go through, your wife not being happy, your wife not being fulfilled, your wife not being seen, your wife not being heard. And once that started to crack, and once I got the courage, because I was feeling guilty as a mother because of what I was feeling, seeing you interact with the kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like they're late at night. I wanted to spend that time with you, but instead you were falling asleep with the kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
It took us it took some really hard times in order for us to wake up, to realize what was happening.
Yeah.
And I think we should get into that on maybe the next podcast because someone may need to hear that.
Yeah. No, for sure. No, but once I realized that without you, the whole, family dream goes away. That's what it is. So just it's not like the kids are not on the priority list. They're just not the very top of the priority list. They're up there. They're way up there. I mean, they're probably number 2 on the priority list.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's just that they're not number 1. That's all it is.
Yes.
But
because in order for you to be in a healthy marriage and raising healthy kids, it starts with us. It starts with us because they're going to look when Audrey is at that age where she is meeting or dating, she's going to look,
Yeah.
My daddy does this, but you don't.
Yeah.
Like she's going to have her standards in place for what she expects for in a boyfriend or in a husband because of you, and vice versa.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want Joey to marry me, but marry someone like me, but their standards, like they're going to have those standards, and it all starts with us. And I'm so glad that we were able to recognize this when they were little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've been working on this for a little bit now.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So now we gotta get ready for Christmas. Christmas is around the corner.
So excited.
We're getting our Christmas lights together.
Yes.
We gotta go pick up a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, we've already picked it up. We gotta go put the lights up today.
Yes.
You know, when I was a kid, I remember something my dad told me, and it's one of those moments that you never forget. I think it was because like we were just talking about, there were certain things that I wanted as a kid, and I wanted a regular family. I think maybe it's not just I wasn't any different. I think all kids are excited
Miguel grew up
about Halloween
with his, in a broken family with his father. So just so people that maybe start listening to us.
I grew up with my dad, and I think all kids around Christmas time, like it's the Christmas holidays, the Christmas spirit. You want your trees up. I mean, in New York, we always wanted snow for I keep saying Halloween, for Christmas. And we just never used to put up the Christmas tree. Like it would just take forever. Like I don't know. And then it would stay up forever. But I remember one time my dad telling me normal families put up the tree the weekend of Thanksgiving. And then they take it down the weekend after New Year's. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why, but it's one of those things that always stuck in my head.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, when I have my family, because I always wanted the tree up and it didn't always happen, I'll make sure that I put up, I'm going to do it because the kids, they want, and they ask for it. And the other thing is that sometimes they're not even around. They don't even help to do the stuff, but they'll remember it. It's just part of, the effort.
I remember just the other day we were talking about this, and you said that you remember that your dad ended up putting up a Christmas tree 2 days before Christmas.
Yeah, and then it stayed up till July.
And when you get into that, your feelings though, right?
Yeah.
When you really
it used to hurt my feelings.
Think back to you as a child, that has to reflect on you today as an adult. And it does, because Miguel's not very festive. Okay.
I don't give a
Let me
fuck.
just tell you. Okay.
I don't dude, if I was single, you wouldn't see a fucking decoration anywhere.
Did you hear that? Now let me share with you. Okay.
Right, babe? How many decorations would I have?
For sure.
0.
Let me tell you, when I was single with 0 kids,
I'd put up like one pumpkin. I'd maybe put on a fucking Christmas hat.
Shit. No, you wouldn't.
Like that's all.
No, you wouldn't.
Babe, the most I would have is like a drawer with some shit in it that I could fucking just put this here, put this there.
Maybe.
But I'm not doing much else.
I don't even see you doing anything like that. But let me tell you, when I was single,
I know.
I had no kids, okay? I had 2 Christmas trees in my house. Everything was decorated, from the table to the bathroom to my car. I had lights.
You were one of those
up in my car. I had 2 15s in the back.
You had the Rudolph the red nose on the front of the car?
I had some 17-inch rims, beautiful rims. And guess what? I had my lights. And I decorated my car for Halloween and Christmas.
What a dork.
I love it. Dork my ass. I had everything I want. It was just, I loved it. I enjoyed it. And it just has always been that way for me. So you guys got to picture this, okay? You got to picture my happy ass, right? And all my decor, and then Miguel.
I'm like,
and
fucking decorations.
Listen, but you do it, and I can't say it joyfully, because sometimes you're like cussing up a storm. But this year I realize, and I think you saw this. So our neighbors, no joke, you guys, if you live in Arizona, you need to come down our neighborhood because it is very festive. We have lights that are being strung from one house to the other house across the street. We will make it on the news.
They're going back and
again.
forth.
Yes. and everybody has their lights up and everybody's walking up and down the blocks and the kids are playing out in the front yard. It is just absolutely like you see it in the movies. So we start putting up our decorations yesterday, and Miguel pulls down, which I didn't recognize. We only had like one bin of holiday decorations for Christmas, and I looked inside that shit and I'm like, oh, hell no. I know that we did pretty well last year. We are buying some more Christmas decorations, but I didn't have to say anything because I looked up at you and I think you read my face.
No.
Fucking
wrong.
No?
I had already thought about that shit last year. Last year, I was putting...
So you were thinking about it the year before.
So
okay.
Look, like we were talking about earlier in the podcast, right? People go fucking nuts and they will just melt that damn credit card buying decorations and all kinds. I'm just, no, people do though.
Yes.
I mean, when somebody gets a fucking crazy ass idea, they don't think about the impact of what they're doing and they will just go crazy and spend whatever. Right. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
And then afterwards they're like, oh, I fucked up.
Yeah, no, we don't do that at all.
Last year when I was putting all the shit away, I'm like, we've had this, like these same lights. Look, I can tell you for Halloween, we have this one that we are just, I'm not getting rid of it because we've had it for so long. But it's
kids
beat
were
up.
Babies. Yes.
It's like one of those little blow up. I call them blow up dolls. It's one of those blow up dolls. And, but it's like a little Reaper guy.
Yes.
And he's like 5
all
feet.
Faded.
And he's faded.
Super
and
faded.
Up.
His light still works, but very dim.
Yeah. But
it's not broken. It still works. So we're going to keep it.
So we put it up. But last year when I was putting all the stuff away, I was thinking, I'm like, look, we've had this shit for so long. Some of these lights don't turn on. I was like, next year, we can just get new shit. And we've had this stuff for so long.
Yes.
And it's like I said, I'm not opposed to spending money. It's just I don't like wasting money. So this year I was like, all right, let's replace some of the shit. We'll keep that for 10 years and then we'll replace it then again.
Yes. And this is so you all know, we are pretty much on the same page when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But not the decoration. Like I just, it makes me so happy. Like it just does. I love it. You know it. I mean, you walk into my house during Christmas and I have the ceiling, is decorated. Everything's just like decorated. And I would decorate the entire house.
That's why it's opposites
attract. If Miguel didn't keep me somewhat, stable, I would have everything decorated.
Sonia's like, you think we can refinance before the holiday so we can decorate?
Would I really do that?
No, you would.
All right. So I'm like, don't be throwing shit out there like that's my truth. But let me just tell you, we got some things like our toaster that we've had for
shit. You can see through it.
Ever. Did I have that toaster before you? I may have had that toaster before you.
But you can see through it.
And
because it's dropped and the sides open.
Oh, babe, that's only so you can let the
crumbs out.
Yes. Anyways. But it works.
You give it a shake and all the crumbs fall out the side.
Why replace it? And I was very surprised that the other day when you made us breakfast, which was great, that you mentioned getting a new toaster because that toaster is working and it's good and we don't need to replace it. Like, no, I don't feel that we have to replace it. But for you to say we got to replace it, I looked at you with the side eye like Joey gives me. The side eye? The one eye side eye.
Yep.
Like what? What's gotten to you, sir? No.
Because it's $10. Fuck it. I'm just saying.
But it still works.
It does.
He was making fun of me because one time, and this is how you save money, man. This is just, here's some tips. So write it down. Yep. Remember that spatula I had?
Which one?
The plastic spatula that I had, and the wood was broken.
Yeah.
That was my favorite, though.
We kept that thing forever.
Yes, and it was like done. It really was done. And
the handle, what Sonia's talking about is the handle was wood and it was like split in 3.
Right.
So whenever you had to grab it, you had to hold it all together.
So it wouldn't pinch you.
Broke asses.
We're not broke asses. That's why we're not broke asses.
Listen. Exactly. That's why we're not broke asses. We have some things that probably could or need to be replaced, but we don't.
Right.
And because we are very careful with what we spend our money on. And you know what? Sometimes we do splurge and we do that all the time. We do splurge, but we splurge on things that are going to make memories, on things that are worth it.
Yes. So if you are looking for, say for the New Year's, you're looking to save up, put away, right? Stash some cash. You need to be taking notes on this.
Cell phones is a great example of things like that. Like that busted ass spatula that you had to hold together. Okay, that could have been replaced.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, like cell phones is something.
It was my favorite though.
I know.
So.
Well, cell phones is something that people, and I've done it. I was one of the main people. Like every year, every 2 years, I was getting a new phone because I wanted to get the newest phone.
Were you like that?
I used to get all the new Google phone, like the Android shit and all that.
Yeah.
I just don't give a fuck anymore. Like, but what I will do is I will buy the newest, nicest phone when I have to replace a phone.
Right.
And that way it lasts me for 5 years, 6 years, and then I'll get another one when I need to. Last time, the reason I replaced my phone last time is because it couldn't charge anymore.
Right.
But it's been a while since. But some people feel like I have to have the newest.
Yes.
And this has a scratch on it. Let me replace it and get a new. It's like that shit still works.
Yes. It's with our vehicles. You know, we've had our vehicles
that's another
for quite some time. And, you know, we understand using other people's money. You know, we've been looking into that and seeing the benefits of that. You know, but when we buy a car, we always buy cash, and the cars that we buy, you can drive forever. I have a Toyota Camry. He has a Toyota Highlander, and we've had it forever. And yes, we can afford nice brand new cars, but that's just not on our radar. That's not something that we look like that we feel that we have to have. Like, it's not an asset. It takes us where we need to go. And so, I mean, these are things that we had to learn, and we just decided that this is what we were going to do. And I can tell you, when you think about, when I talk to those people that have car payments, they are not too excited about the car payments, but then they see something new and they want it. And it's just because of what we're being sold. It's that remember, I sent you that clip of that motivational, or that speech when they were talking about the things that they have not programmed, but programmed to do in order to make us feel like we need the newest things. Like we need to buy this. We need, in order to make ourselves feel good,
like,
or
you're keeping up,
to feel happy. And at the end of the day, none of that stuff matters, because none of that stuff you can take with you to the grave. And that's why it, you know, when I think of today, I know that everything that I do today matters.
Yep.
Like, if I can't go back and fix what I did not do or did do yesterday.
Yeah.
And I can't predict what's going to happen tomorrow. But I know that I can do what I need to do and should do today.
Yep.
And if you live your life that way, you won't have anything to regret when your time is up.
Yeah. Learn from the past, set yourself up for the future, and live in the moment.
That's right.
Dang, put that on a fucking t-shirt.
And with that,
well, last thing before we get out of here, you were talking about the like buying the car, and we've had, like we talked about earlier, is being trained in these emotions, like these things that we have. And I've had, when I bought my first car, just like you, I took out a loan, and I didn't feel good taking out the loan because I already knew, like, that is not something that I want. Even as a fucking 18, 19-year-old, I was like, I don't want this, but I don't have money to buy a car. So I know people do it all the time. I'm going to get one and I'll pay it off. That was my my thought. And you know what? That is the one and only time that I ever had a car loan.
Wow.
No, besides us together. But when I was a kid, that was the only time that I ever had a car loan by myself. I paid that car off, but then the mentality has always been, don't get another car loan. But just like we talked about earlier, things change and you learn things. Once we paid off our cars personally, that was it. We're never getting another car loan. Guess what? That's changed too.
Right.
Because we may get a car loan.
Right.
The difference is, if we get a car loan, it's for a car that's going to pay for itself.
Yes, a car that's going to make us money.
It's not going to be a car that we need to pay the note on. This car is going to be an investment that pays its own self and makes us money.
So it's going to become an asset a depreciating asset.
So just like you talked about changing and learning.
Yes.
You know, we went from I don't want to do this
Right.
or I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it to I'm never doing it again to maybe there is a reason to do that.
Right.
It's just all about learning and growing.
That's it.
Right?
That's it. I love you.
I love you too, babe. So thank you guys for being with us. Thank you for listening to the show. Make sure you guys go to oppositesattractpodcast.com. You guys can follow the podcast there. You guys can share it with the people that you know. You guys can also get our resource list.
Yes.
Our resource list is something that we put together that has a bunch of videos. It has different podcasts. It has books. It has things that have helped us get to where we are today. Some things that we thought might be helpful for you guys. But if you go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com, and you give it a second, it'll pop up by itself. You put in your name and your email, and you'll be able to download the resource list. And you can also download a couple songs and check out a couple songs that I made for Sonja if you haven't heard them before.
Yes.
Anything else before we get out of here?
If you are not part of, and I know you mentioned this a little while ago, but if you are not a part of our Facebook group page, I would highly suggest to get on there because that's where we interact with you guys, with our community. And if we just started a parenting series a little over a week ago, and we have, a few individuals that we're working on with that. It is closed though. We're not accepting anyone else to come into that, the parenting series. But our next series will be the marriage series. And so in the community, our Facebook community page, that's where we discuss, communicate, and, you guys get the news first of anything that's going on within the podcast.
Yep. So make sure you guys go to oppositesattractpodcast.com.
So we love you guys. Thank you so much for watching and listening to Opposites Attract podcast.
Where we get better
together.
Bye.
Bye.